I would say my brother, actually. I mean, obviously there's a handful of people who come to mind who have influenced me so much, and just mean the world to me in terms of just how I live my life and how I work, how I play. But I think my relationship with my brother shaped me as a person just even more than I realized, up until quite recently. So I'm very grateful for that. I think my brother really taught me to work hard for what I want, and to always hold the highest possible standards for myself. If I'm not playing the violin, there's a good chance I'm teaching, or I'm doing something else music related. But I would say if I'm not doing something music related, there's a good chance I'm doing something with photography. I got into photography maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and eventually I found my way to shooting film on with vintage cameras. My favorite camera of choice is this Leica M3 that I got a couple years ago, and it's a camera from the 50s, but it's a great piece of equipment. My favorite destination, I'd say probably is Central Park. It's where I do all of my running, and I do it all year round. I don't care if there's snow on the ground, or if it's raining, or it's nice out or hot, whatever. I like running outside. I don't think there's a certain piece that comes to mind, but I think definitely Haydn's music in general, I feel like, is either underrated or underappreciated. And I mean, I forget how great Haydn is, and usually what happens is, one of my favorite things to do is sight read chamber music with friends, like favorite things to do, period. And so, we always read our Brahms and our Schubert and Mozart, Dvorak, and all this great stuff. And then when Haydn comes up, it's just like the greatest music ever. It's just, I find his music so uplifting, and there's just nothing like it. And when I hear his music, I just feel like whoever wrote this was just an amazing person, like an amazing human being. And so I just love it, it lifts my spirits. It's it's very funny too, actually. His music is very funny. So Haydn, I think, is just so much greater than I think he kind of gets credit for these days. Well, I've only been with CMS for 1 year now, but I do have a favorite memory, which is this was back in February, earlier this year. I was playing in a lecture with Bruce Adolph, one of these inside chamber music lectures, and we were looking at a sonata by Mozart, and Bruce was talking, and as he was talking, this cell phone rang, and the cell phone ringtone was a dog barking. And I mean, Bruce being Bruce, he cracked some joke about dogs and incorporated it into his lecture and kept going. But I had my suspicions as to who it was, and sure enough, after the performance, I confirmed that the cell phone belonged to one of my favorite photographers ever named Elliot Erwitt. And I just thought it was so hilarious because I knew he was coming because I invited a friend of mine who's a photographer, and she told me she invited him to come hear me and see the lecture, and she knew I was a huge fan of his. So when I heard the ringtone, I thought it might be him, and I had brought this book for him to sign, and it was my favorite collection of his work, and it was called Dogs. So just the fact that, you know, of all the people in the room, you know, his cell phone rang and it was a dog barking, and I was just, you know, in love with his photographs of dogs. It was just, that was a really good one. And I hope he doesn't mind that I'm being a tattletale, but yeah, that was good. I'll never forget that one.